That's what I made.
That would be nice.
Our next special recognition, Jeanette Bell. Miss Jeanette Bell, Miss Bell, please come down. So good to see you here, Jeanette, Miss Bell. Great community leader here, everybody knows. I think most everybody knows Jeanette. Doesn't everybody know Jeanette? She's a regular here at City Council. We always look forward to hearing her wisdom and guidance and input. You're a great leader in the community, Jeanette. And you've been a great leader out at the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association. And appreciate your leadership out there. And today we're talking about Harambe Day, and that's going to be coming up here. And I'm going to read this proclamation. And thanks to you for getting this all put together. A long-standing Kenyan tradition, Harambe is a type of self-help celebration teaching compassion, cooperation, human responsibility, and tolerance for diversity. In Swahili, the word Harambe means pulling together and helping each other. As we celebrate Waco's Harambe Revive, which was created to preserve cultural and ethnic heritage, to renew and restore a sense of belonging, and strengthen family and community, let's remember those who are working to educate others so everyone will be looked upon as human beings as a whole, with physical, social, cultural, and spiritual dimensions. This celebration will promote ethnic and cultural tourism, which is significant for local economic development and advancement of all levels of the creative, performing, and literary arts that elevate a community and its people. Therefore, we declare August 31st, 2024 as 2024 Waco Harambe Revival Day in the city of Waco, and urge all citizens to join the city council, city staff, and me to acknowledge this historical, ethnic, and cultural community celebration and tradition. The Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association continues to advance its mission in the restoration of historical and cultural traditions, customs, celebrations, and sites, while continuing to promote unity, respect, engagement, and family values. The City of Waco officially recognized the notable efforts of Ms. Jeanette Bell, President, and the members of the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association for their diligence and commitment to the furthering of a flourishing, creative, inclusive, sustainable community. And it's in testimony whereof, witness my hand in the seal of the City of Waco this 20th day of August, 2024, and signed by all City Council members. Congratulations.
I would like to thank the city council, city manager, the whole city of Waco for this honor. I would like to thank my supporters, my family, the vendors, the sponsors, everybody for believing in the Northeast Riverside Neighborhood Association vision, which is a livable, walkable, enjoyable, and sustainable neighborhood. And our mission is to preserve the social, political, economic, environmental, physical, psychological, mobility, and transportation quality of life. What we're doing on August the 31st is build more stronger community ties. And we're promoting community, family, neighborhood, and civic engagement. And we want everyone to come out. It's open to the public, it's free, and I guarantee you will have a memorable time. So please come out August 31st at the Bridge Street Plaza, Waco's front porch, from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And like I said, we got some beautiful people in Waco. And thank you all.
Mayor, as you're taking your seat, I just wanted to thank Jeanette again for another opportunity to gather and celebrate together. Much like the word Selah is more of an action than a word, the word Harambe is too. Pulling together is a physical thing, and it is something that requires movement and momentum, and so we appreciate the opportunity for us as Wacoans to move together.
Next item to consider is public hearing 2024-587, Planning Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Corey Dickman for a flea market in a C4 zoning district on property described as lots 4 through 7, Block 60, Campbell Edition, known as 419 South 11th Street. By a vote of 6-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval of this request based on the following findings. Number one, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purposes and intent of Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco. Two, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. Three, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without the grant of a special exception. And four, that available community facilities and services, including the road system providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. I'm going to add a little bit here. This is one of the items I was going to give a little update on at our work session. The intent of this request is actually the term flea market comes right out of our ordinance, so that is the term that we had to use for this special permit. But the applicant is actually calling it a vendor market. The intent is to feature local entrepreneurs and creatives looking to start a business within Waco. The market will partner with Win Waco, which is just located right down the block on this property, or just down the block from this property, providing skills, building opportunities for students of the different local schools through hands-on experiences in manufacturing, sales, and business operations on this property. There was discussion at the meeting about maybe some parking concerns. However, the applicant did note that parking will be available actually on the Triple Win property for this, so there should not be conflicts with parking with any of the local businesses of the area. Addition to the standard special permit conditions that are normally placed, we also recommended that the operation be open no more than 3 days a week from the hours of noon until 9:00 p.m. and also provide a 6-month extension period so that he can come back with any reevaluations of the permit application. Thank you.
Are there any questions for staff? I will now open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone present who would like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll now close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion to second. Is there any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes.
Rodriguez? Aye. Ewing?
Yes.
Borderoux?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Aye. That resolution passes. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-588, Planning Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-4247 in Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property containing approximately 0.454 acres of land in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being part of Lot 7, Block 2, Lot 6, Block 2, and all of Lot 5, Block 2, Parkview addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per map of said addition recorded in volume 254, page 282 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 1516 Bryan Avenue, shall be changed from R1B district classification and become and be designated into R2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of this request to change the zoning from R1B to R2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in conformance with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the R2 zoning district. 3, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the R2 zoning district. And 4, there is R2 zoning in the vicinity of the subject property.
Are there any questions for staff? Is there anyone present who would like to speak regarding this item? There being none, we will close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please poll the council.
Aye. Ewing. Yes. Borderood. Yes. Chase.
Yes.
Aye. That ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-589. Planning Manager Wagstaff.
Sir. Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 in Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property containing approximately 2.5997 acres, being all of that tract described as Gin and Linares Tract, lots 5A, 5B, 6A, and 7A, Block F, known as a portion of 3420 West Waco Drive, property ID 174247, shall be changed from R1B district classification and become and be designated into O1 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 5-1, the commission recommended approval of this request to change the zoning from R1B to O1 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O1 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the O1 zoning district. 4, the property is located along an arterial street, Waco Drive. This case may sound familiar to you. A zone change on this property was previously defeated at second reading on June 4th to rezone the property to O3 with a 25-foot buffer. With discussion at that second reading, it was discussed that O1 zoning would be more appropriate in lieu of a buffer, so the applicant has come forward as requested with an O1 zoning.
Are there any questions for staff? Laura, I had one quick question. Is there a built-in buffer on O1 anyway, as a setback or?
The setback is 25 feet
Okay,
from property line.
okay, all right. Are there any other questions for staff? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who would like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
For approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez. Aye. Ewing.
Yes.
Borderood.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Aye. That ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-590.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from suburban residential to mixed-use flex on property containing approximately 5.20 acres of land out of the W.L. Swain Survey, abstract number 40, to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being that called 5.20 acre tract described in a deed to Curtis Wayne Lucas and spouse Kimberly Lynn Lucas, recorded under instrument number 2023010279 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 6318 North 19th Street, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of the code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that the property described above shall be changed from R1B and O1 to C2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the Commission recommended approval of the request to change the land use designation from suburban residential to mixed-use flex based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex land use designation. 2, the mixed-use flex designation is consistent with the surrounding land uses and other area properties that are already designated as mixed-use flex. And the Commission also recommended approval of the request to change the zoning from R1B and O1 to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the public infrastructure is generally adequate to provide for the uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the C2 zoning district. And 4, the proposed C2 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area uses.
Thank you, Laura. Is there any questions for, are there any questions for staff? I will now open a public hearing for comments. I have one card, Ms. Kimberly Lucas. Ms. Lucas, would you like to speak?
I don't need to speak at this time, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lucas. Are there any other speakers besides Ms. Lucas? Seeing no further speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor, based on staff and Plan Commission recommendation, I would move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Borderood,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Aye. That ordinance passes on first reading. We will now move to public hearing 2024-591.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from medium-density residential office flex to mixed-use flex on 2 properties containing 1, approximately 3.745 acres of land out of the Carlos Ocampo Survey, abstract number 32, and being all of that tract described in a deed to James Curry per document number 2014007-233 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 3200 Robinson Drive, property ID 183660. And 2, approximately 3.975 acres described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the Lopez addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat recorded in Volume 264, page 321 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 3124 Robinson Drive, property ID 181148, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of the code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that the property described above as number 1 shall be changed from R1B to C2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the Commission recommended approval of the request to change the land use designation from medium-density residential office flex to mixed-use flex based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex land use designation. 2, mixed-use flex designation is consistent with the surrounding land uses and other area properties that are already designated as mixed-use flex. The Commission also recommended approval of the request to change the zoning from R1B to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the public infrastructure is generally adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the C2 district. And 4, proposed C2 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area's light commercial uses and is along a major thoroughfare, US 77.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any questions for staff? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Aye.
Ewing?
Yes.
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye, that ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-592. Planning Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from medium-density residential office flex to mixed-use flex on 2 properties containing approximately 1.0 acres of land out of the NW corner of a 6.863 acre tract on the TJ Chambers grant described in a deed from Bessie D. Creasy et al. To E.L. Daughtry, recorded in volume 418, page 455 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and being part of the old Ruffner tract known as 3032 Robinson Drive, property ID 167922, and 2, approximately 1.2165 acres of land out of the T.J. Chambers grant, and being a part of that certain 3.433 acre tract conveyed by Harry A. Hipsher to Charlie H. Gecky by deed recorded in volume 546, page 71 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, known as 3100 Robinson Drive, property ID 167921, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising section 28-247 in chapter 28 zoning of the code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that the property described above as number 1 shall be changed from R1B to C2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of the land use designation from medium-density residential office flex to mixed-use flex based on the following findings. 1, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for zoning districts allowed in the proposed mixed-use flex land use designation. 2, mixed-use flex designation is consistent with the surrounding land uses and other area properties that are already designated as mixed-use flex. And also recommended approval of the request to change the zoning from R1B to C2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. 2, the public infrastructure is generally adequate to provide for uses allowed in the C2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the C2 zoning district. And 4, the proposed C2 zoning is compatible with the surrounding area's light commercial uses and is along major thoroughfare US 77.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any questions for staff? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Fairfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez? Ewing?
Yes.
Borderoux?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Aye, that ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-593.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising section 28-247 in chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property containing approximately 0.38 acres of land in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, described as lots 18 through 21, block 9, Rennick Edition, known as 300 and 308 Nathaniel McCoy Street and 308 Rusk Street, shall be changed from R1B district classification and become and be designated into O3 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of this request to change the zoning from R1B to O3 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O3 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the O3 zoning district. And 4, there is O3 adjacent to the subject property.
Any questions for staff on this one? We'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Rodriguez? Ewing?
Yes.
Borderoot?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye. That ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-594.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 in Chapter 28 zoning of said code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that certain property containing approximately 0.1618 acres of land in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, described as Lot 3, Block 3, Conger NH Addition, known as 510 North 13th Street, shall be changed from C3 district classification and become and be designated into O2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of this request to change the zoning from C3 to O2 based on the following findings. 1, the proposed zoning is in keeping with the land use component of the comprehensive plan. 2, the public infrastructure is adequate to provide for uses allowed in the O2 zoning district. 3, the property meets all the area and width requirements for the O2 zoning district. And 4, there is O2 adjacent to the subject property.
Thanks, Laura. Any questions for staff on this one? We'll open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who would like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield? Rodriguez? Ewing?
Yes.
Borderoot?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
That ordinance passes on first reading. Next item to consider is public hearing 2024-595.
To the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning approximately 0.5 acres, being a portion of that called 65-foot wide utility easement retained by the City of Waco according to ordinance number 1999-36, as recorded in McLennan County Clerk's file number 9925416 of the official public records of McLennan County, Texas. Said easement being located on properties known as 2400 and 2500 Mary Avenue, adopting findings and conditions from the Waco Plan Commission for this abandonment, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the commission recommended approval of the abandonment request based on the following findings and conditions. Finding number 1, utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of this right-of-way. And 2, the sewer line located within this easement has been abandoned. The following condition, that easement shall be retained for any located utilities within the abandonment area, or lines can be relocated at developer's expense. Coordinate with any appropriate utilities.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any questions for staff? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez? Ewing?
Yes.
Borderoot? Chase?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye, that ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is public hearing 2024-596.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning approximately 0.20 acres of right-of-way located out of the TJ Chambers Survey, abstract number 7, in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a part of South 12th Street, dedicated per the Connor addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat recorded in Volume 58, page 336 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. Said right-of-way being located adjacent to properties known as 1130 and 1200 Dutton Avenue. Adopting findings and conditions from the Waco Plan Commission for this abandonment, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that this meeting at the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 7-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval of the abandonment request based on the following findings and conditions. Finding number 1, the public use of the right-of-way is not required for the proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. 2, utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of this right-of-way. 3, there will be no adverse impact to the surrounding street system. And the following standard condition, that easement shall be retained for any located utility lines within the abandoned area, or lines can be relocated at developer's expense. Coordinate with the appropriate utilities.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any questions for staff? I'm going to open a public hearing for comments. Is there anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this item? Seeing no speakers, we will close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Porter,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is the consent agenda. The following resolutions were pulled from the consent agenda and will be voted on separately. These are resolutions 2024-602, resolution 2024-604, resolution 2024-605, and resolution 2024-613. Is there a motion on resolution 2024-602?
Move for approval.
Second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this resolution? There being none, please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez, Ewing,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that resolution passes. Is there a motion on resolution 2024-604?
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion, guys? There being no discussion, please poll the council.
Yes.
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, that resolution passes. Is there a motion on resolution 2024-605?
Move for approval.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Yes.
Aye, that resolution passes. And finally, is there a motion on resolution 2024-613?
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ewing, Chase,
Yes.
Aye, that resolution passes. The next item to consider is the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of resolution 2024-597 through 2024-625, except for resolution 2024-602, resolution 2024-604, resolution 2024-605, and resolution 2024-613. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Mayor, with apologies for my many conflicts of interest, I will move for approval on the consent agenda.
I like it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the consent agenda tonight? There being no discussion, please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Porter, Chase,
Yes.
Aye, the consent agenda passes. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 2024-626, and City Attorney Kathleen Perdon will read the first ordinance.
This is an ordinance reappointing Robert R. Garcia as municipal judge of the Municipal Court of the City of Waco, Texas, for a term of 2 years, which shall be from June 1, 2024, and shall expire May 31, 2026. Determining the salary of the municipal judge, appointing a qualified person to serve for the municipal judge during temporary absences, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading?
Second.
Second reading.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield,
Yes.
Rodriguez,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Borderood,
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Aye, that ordinance passes on first reading. The next item to consider is ordinance 2024-627. City Attorney Perdon.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, amending the developer participation agreement with Mercer McMillan LLC, under which the City of Waco is participating in the total cost for oversizing of improvements for the M&M Industrial Park Addition, to decrease the cost of oversizing of improvements and to decrease the city's share of the project by an amount not to exceed $700,081.45, for a new total authorization amount not to exceed $1,799,918.55, authorizing the city manager to execute any documents in connection therewith, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by a 6-0 council vote on first reading on August 6, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please poll the council.
Bearfield, Rodriguez,
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
Borderood,
Yes.
Aye, that ordinance passes on second reading. The next item to consider is ordinance 2024-628. City Attorney Perdon.
An ordinance establishing administrative departments of the City of Waco, Texas, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a savings clause, providing for an effective date, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by 6-0 council vote on first reading on August 6, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second. Is there a second? Got a motion and a second. Discussion. There being no discussion, please poll the council.
Yes.
Aye.
Ewing,
Yes.
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 Holmes,
Aye, that ordinance passes on second reading. The next item to consider is ordinance 2024-629. City Attorney Perdon.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, creating a planned unit development, PUD, changing the zoning classification from R1B to a PUD on certain property described as Lot 2, Block 1 of the James R. Kersey Addition, Lots 1 to 2, Block 1, known as 3212 South 4th Street, property ID 353479. Approving the concept plan for the PUD, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance was approved by 6-0 council vote on first reading on August 6, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on second reading.
Second.
I hear a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Please poll the council.
Bearfield, Rodriguez, Ewing,
Yes.
Yes.
Chase,
Yes.
Aye, that ordinance passes on second reading. The next item to consider is the hearing of visitors. During the hearing, we have a few cards here. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed on the agenda. The council is unable to conduct a discussion, but will listen. We'll ask staff to look into concerns and will provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. And we have some cards here. When called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Each speaker must limit comments to 3 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more individuals present, please have those persons stand at the beginning of your comments. You'll be given 10 minutes to address the council. Please note that if you stand in support of a person getting 10 minutes to speak, you are forfeiting your right to speak on that item. For any person addressing the council through the use of a translator, the speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation services. While public discourse is very important to the council, we have to maintain order in the meetings so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from the council meeting any person who, while addressing the city council or while attending the city council meeting, any person who makes personal or impertinent or slanderous remarks, any person who becomes boisterous, or any person who makes unauthorized remarks from the audience, claps hands, stomps feet, whistles, yells, or makes similar demonstrations. So we do have a few cards tonight, and I will start with Cecil McDowell. Mr. McDowell, come on down. And you have 3 minutes when you get to the podium. Just state your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, council persons. My name is Cecil McDowell at 2036 King Cole Drive, Waco, Texas. I hadn't been up here for last 3 or 4 years. Some of you knew, and I'd like to say in the last 3 or 4 years or 10 years, I retired, but right now I'm checking out the city. And one of the things that bother me in the city is the restrooms at Webb and Austin Park. When are we going to be able to put some facilities out there at this restroom? Because there's too many kids now that don't have nowhere to go. It smells out there all through the grass with little kids, you in the bathroom, and what are we doing about it? Nothing. When we gonna clean it up, put us some toilets out there. We used to say the drug dealers coming down. Drug dealers don't go in there. Human beings go in there. So it's time for us to change, and I'm asking the city to look into adding some more restrooms out there. They don't have 0 restrooms, and they say it's a community park. Well, that community park that's the only park in East Waco, one of the only one. So we need to add some restrooms to all them parks out there that do not have facilities. And if you go out there with your great-great-grandkids, they'll smell and want to come back. They can't play anything or do anything. But we need to look at that. So I will be coming back again to cry a little bit. So let's change. It's time to change. So you're changing everything else. So let's change and do something about these parks and fix them where it's a place where you can go. As an old man like me, need to go to the restroom. Can't go. You have to get in the car and go back home. You go out there for 10 minutes, go back. So I'd like to have that done, because I have some friends who veterans, and they say, well, I go out there and sit, but I can't sit but 30 minutes because there ain't no restroom. So if city can do that, that's good. And so everything else look good. Thank y'all very much. Hello? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDowell. I appreciate your feedback. The next card is Anna Lesko. Ms. Lesko? The next card after that is Catherine Broad. Ms. Lesko, please state your name and address when you get to the podium.
My name is Anna Lesko. I live at 2000 South 1st Street, Waco, Texas. So I'm a member of the community. I first went to the animal shelter to volunteer by walking dogs, and by the end of my first training session, I had a lot of questions. I'm here today to add my voice to the mounting concerns that have gone unheard. As of recent, because of euthanizations in the last few months, I question whether the shelter qualifies as no-kill, despite what was stated at the August 6th working meeting regarding future shelter renovations. Data on the outcome of these dogs is insufficient and inconsistent. For example, just in the past year, the dogs who were euthanized based on behavior went up by 87%. That number is incredibly high compared to the previous years. That's an absurd statistic, and we will be analyzing the kill rate, intake rate, and outcome statistics more critically in the upcoming weeks. Farther, I would like to emphasize that not only does a failing shelter make a community look undesirable, it can also be a source of health hazards within the city and for the surrounding areas. Our community will be less inclined to come to the shelter to surrender dogs, which means that the vaccination rate of homeless dogs could decrease. One incredibly important vaccination dogs receive at the shelter is the rabies vaccine. Rabies is the deadliest virus in the world. It has a 99% fatality rate, and it can easily spread from dogs to humans. By the time you have symptoms, you are no longer able to receive the vaccination, and you will die. Therefore, having an animal shelter that can vaccinate and monitor dogs for diseases such as rabies will help avoid potential public health crises. This is also scientifically proven with studies that have been peer-reviewed by high-impact journals. It is clear that the city is aware that the shelter in its current state is not effective, as shelter renovations will begin soon. While the planned renovations will alleviate many problems as far as disease outbreaks and surgeries, there is not currently a plan for the time between now and when construction finishes. This leaves at least another year for conditions to decline even farther. The reality is our community cannot afford to wait it out. The solution that I am proposing is the replacement of the Police Commander Gary Hyatt, who is the current city-appointed manager of the shelter, and his team. While he is not solely responsible for all the issues, he has been cited as a major contributor to the failings in the past year. Our city's ties with the Humane Society are hanging by a thread due to the inexperienced management of the shelter by the police commander over the past year and a half. Gary refuses to acknowledge that his presence is a problem with the people he encounters and works with at the shelter, despite professional feedback. He admits that he doesn't have the qualifications for the job, and he's refusing to listen to qualified expert opinions on health and behavior of the shelter dogs. The poor management of the animal shelter is not only a reflection of Commander Gary Hyatt, but his team and also City Council. I'm asking City Council to ask the questions and investigate the performance of Commander Gary Hyatt and take measures to ensure that the shelter gets the appropriate attention that it truly needs.
Thank you, Ms. Lisko.
Thank you. I'll look forward to seeing you at the next
Our next
council
speaker
meeting.
is Catherine Broad. Ms. Broad, you have state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to address council.
Hey, my name is Catherine or Katie Broad. I live at 512 Daughtry Avenue in District 2. I'm also here to voice my concerns about the state of the local Humane Society, or the Waco Animal Shelter. Conditions at the shelter are quickly declining and something needs to be done. Since COVID, shelter intake numbers have increased substantially, not only in Waco, but nationwide. Recent local disease outbreaks have exacerbated this problem. Unfortunately, to alleviate this newfound stress on the resources of the shelter, the approach that the Police Commissioner Gary Hyatt and his team have taken is to reduce the requirements for animals to qualify for euthanization. In other words, their strategy is to kill their way out of overpopulation. This is directly contradictory to the primary goal of the City of Waco Department of Animal Services. On the department webpage, it states that our overall operation strives for the ultimate goal of the elimination of the need to euthanize healthy or unwanted animals. Under the management of Gary Hyatt and his team, the Waco Animal Shelter may lose its no-kill status next year. As a result, its relationship with the Humane Society of Central Texas and its associated sponsors is rocky at best. Frankly, in a city like Waco that is growing and improving every day, it is embarrassing to have to beg organizations like the Humane Society to stay associated with us. These issues are not going to magically go away. If things don't get better soon, our coalition will continue to grow larger and louder. In the spirit of creating constructive dialogue, I would like to suggest relieving Gary Hyatt of the responsibilities he holds at the shelter. I believe reallocating these responsibilities from the police department to Parks and Recreation could be a viable solution, as management of the animal population affects community engagement and the safety of community members in public spaces. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Broad, appreciate you. Is there anyone else present who'd like to speak during the hearing of visitors? Anyone out there want to get up to the podium? Anybody? No. All right, seeing no one, we'll close the hearing of visitors, and we're going to go to council comments. Are there any announcements that council would like to make?
I don't have any announcements, sir. I just wanted to thank you all for your continued support in my service on the National League of Cities Board as a Board of Directors member and as the Board Liaison for Race, Equity, and Leadership.
So happy that you're volunteering your services for that, and Waco Plus, you're making it happen. Councilmember Bearfield, appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're so grateful for that, Councilmember Bearfield. I just want to give a big shout out to the 2 school districts in my city council district, Waco ISD and Midway ISD, now that they're back to school. I know school boards and administration have really struggled with school budgets this year, and the state really hasn't been too helpful in dealing with the pressures that our school districts are dealing with. But it was good to see a lot of the joy of students going back and educators just doing the heroic work that they do. So I'm just sounding another, trying to be positive about back to school. My kids are. They're a little happier than I am.
Are they both excited about
They
it?
are, yeah. First, the only year they're going to be both in middle school together. They got a new facility. They're living the dream.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
That's great. Anyone else?
The North Waco Neighborhood Association that I share with my esteemed council colleague Bearfield is celebrating their first anniversary a week from today, next Tuesday. Since they have kicked off, we've seen a good amount of engagement. They're going to have CPR certification there. That's cool to me. If I don't know how to do it, we have our budget meeting next Tuesday, but. Yeah, I'm really happy for them, and they've been a good neighborhood association that has continued to work to engage with their constituency and continue to make sure that they're reaching out to myself and Councilwoman Bearfield and making sure that we're aware of what's going on in their neighborhood. So
Great. Councilmember Rodriguez?
No, I have nothing.
Nothing. Hey, George, you have anything you want to talk about?
No, I would like to echo the sentiment to thank Councilperson Bearfield for her service on those boards, and I look forward to being with you all in person next time.
Hey, what's the weather like there, George?
You don't want to hear.
Could you walk outside in that jacket and not sweat?
I did, as a matter of fact.
Looking forward to having you back next week.
Yeah, George, get back.
All right.
I have one item, and I just want to bring it up. This hasn't been in the community conversation this week, but it's about one of our own back here on council. But behind us on council, you'll see Sergeant Billy Tynes back here. He's the supervisor for Waco PD Family Violence Unit that has to do with domestic violence. And Sergeant Tynes came up with an assessment of victims' kind of lethality situation, which was brilliant. It was an idea that he came up with after going to a conference in DFW. And that assessment that's done at the site is making a big difference in number of victims who seek help. And we're seeing more family violence arrests and fewer repeat offenders. And it shows that we care. It shows that victims are seeking safety and encouragement and empowerment. And Sergeant Tynes, we appreciate you for protecting us here, and we appreciate your input in the community here. It's a positive effect. His wife Cindy's pretty good too.
That's right.
Any other comments today? Yeah. Any other council comments? Any other council requests for scheduling of future agenda items?
Yeah. Thanks for doing the Lord's work, Sergeant Tynes. Both of y'all. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 7:18 p.m.